Cultivating mature positivity.
CMPRadio.net. CMPRadio.net. It's the station.
What's going on, everybody, man? It's your boy Uncle P, and I'm live at Supreme Hairstyles, as y'all can tell from the back, right? I got a talented group of fellas with me, man. We're gonna ask Stefan Roots a couple questions, right? You know, why is he running for city council, right? What does he hope to change for city council? The challenges that he sees as being a city council man, right? And I got my man Marv here, man. You know, he got all the questions.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for having me. How you doing, Steph?
I'm doing great. Good seeing you again. It's been a long time.
Yes, it has.
We have
Yes,
a
it has.
pandemic gap plus some.
Ooh, yeah. Heavy gap. So, Steph, we're going to jump right into it. I know we've been hitting the bricks all crazy. So I'm going to ask you some questions in a sense that's going to kind of get everybody to know who and what you are and how you operate.
All right, let's do it.
So the first question, Steph, I have for you is, what inspired the Roots for Chester movement?
Ooh, the Roots for Chester movement kind of came up when we were just trying to think of a name for the campaign.
Okay.
So we just threw it on. You know, my name, Roots, can go a lot of ways. And we know it's like a name that when you see it, you're going to remember it. So Roots for Chester wasn't the first thing that we came up with, but it came up in such a way to say that the movement itself is not just Stefan Roots running for city council.
Right.
That's the start of it.
Okay.
Win or lose, the Roots for Chester campaign goes on. So we've assembled, and we continue to assemble volunteers and people who recognize what we're doing here. And just as it is, as we kind of made the name and hoped it would be, it's already become. And like to the point of one of my real goals is to get in here and to identify some young talent around town who feel as though they don't have a shot to get in the city government or to do work for city government or just have any association with city government.
I get you.
But people, we know they're young, they're smart, they want to do it, they just don't know how. More importantly, we don't want them to leave. You're like so much good young talent.
You won't be able to retain it.
We want to be able to retain them, but the only way you're going to retain them is if you run in the town. We don't want a bunch of 60, 70-year-olds running the town. We want to get some young blood in there, get some talented young blood, and train this young blood. So this is all about putting roots into the city to draw out the best and the brightest that we have for the future. This city's not going to change overnight, okay? If we start now, at best, it's a 10, 15-year grind to really flip this thing to being close to what it was before. So if we're looking at a 20-year-old now, he'll be 35, and at the prime age to take over. So the Roots for Chester movement is not just for now, it's forever.
And I'm assuming it has gained momentum since its inception.
It's done just as we had hoped it would do. I won't even say had planned it would do, as we hoped it would do. It was all about getting momentum early. You know, and just getting out there and just throwing it out there, man. Let people see something is happening and see if they pick up on the momentum or not. And, you know, sometimes you're like, and then the next day it's like, whoa, we've connected with that person. And you start to hear some stories, you know, from other people who come in and say, hey, dude's thinking about running in 2 years. I mean, that is so exciting to hear that right now, that just because of this movement, somebody's looking 2 years ahead.
That was the show running pretty much.
That's it. So that was great. That was a great question.
Thanks,
So I'm looking
appreciate
forward to
you.
these questions because I know how you roll.
Well, they're coming right at 5, good brother. Don't worry. And P told me I gotta come correct.
And if I go too long, you just say, you know, whatever you got to do.
He's gonna cut it in.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, in your opinion. Okay, now here that you mentioned 10 or 15 years. What are some of the major challenges that the city of Chester has faced? And I'm gonna say specifically with the Great Depression.
So we're going back now. Well, I say there's three dark periods in Chester.
Okay.
2 of them have to do with civil rights, but one of them has. So we had a civil rights riot in 1917 where they were just wilding out. But if you know your history, they were also wilding out all over the country. You know, Chicago, all these cities were having these race riots back in the 1970s. I say there's 3. Ironically, you fast forward 100 years later, 2020,
History
you got
repeats
riots
itself.
in the street. So,
Right.
you know, you have to consider that. So the race riots, I think, is one of Chester's darkest periods. The other one is Air Park, when the flood came right next to Chester High. It was our Katrina. You know, the
Exactly.
water came over the banks. People didn't have time to get out. Up to a dozen people died. I think 9 in Air Park itself and 3 somewhere else in the city.
Okay.
The whole neighborhood was wiped out,
Gotcha.
and there hasn't been a house replaced there
Wow.
since. It kind of makes for nice open space for Chester High. You know,
Pretty much.
could you imagine a dense, tight neighborhood
I can.
there now?
I can.
Yeah. So if you can envision it, I mean, I remember seeing it because
Right.
I used to go to the Central Y, which was on that same spot,
Wow.
and the guys used to come over. It was an all-white neighborhood, and it was just that was really a dark period. 1971. There's a monument erected and a couple new signs that they have on the spot. So I encourage people to go by and just see what happened there because so many people
Right.
don't know.
You gotta know your history.
The last one,
Yes.
and I think one that we have to really consider is like right now.
Yes.
Right now, the city is in financial receivership,
Yes.
and I equate that to the Great Depression.
Yes.
This is Chester's Great Depression. So those are the 3 things. Now, how'd your question kind of shape up from there?
Okay, that's fine. You have a unique perspective because you're a journalist, and you have done a lot in the city of Chester as far as giving out information and whatnot. And because of that unique perspective that you have, my next question would be, how do you plan on utilizing your resources to bridge the gap, the communication gap between the city council and the constituents of Chester?
That's my wheelhouse.
Okay.
Right there.
That's your wheelhouse.
That's my wheelhouse.
Please elaborate.
I'm ready to snap off the warm-ups and
There we
give you
go.
an answer now.
We balling now.
Yeah, hit the rosin bag off the mat. Because you about to get a fastball right at
There
you.
we
No,
go.
you're right though. Communications is what I do, is what I've done. I enjoy kind of digging out the stories that people need to know more about. Some people don't want to hear it. Some people kind of frame it the way they want to frame it. But the bottom line is Chester has real news, and it needs to be easy to digest. So if you find something in the newspaper, it's hard to digest. So your question is, how is that going to translate to city government? And one of my platforms is to create a vehicle for communication,
Right.
or improving communication between the residents and City Hall. Now, you mentioned city council people particularly, but I think there needs to be a way for citizens to get in touch with City Hall, no matter where they need to go, you know, in the building. So the first step is just to hit it right from the streets and find some neighborhood ambassadors.
Okay.
You know, they go by many names.
Block captain.
Block captains, block captains, neighborhood ambassador. I mean, block captain, I think, is the whole name. We have to find like a new
We gotta
kind of
change it.
hip
We gotta
name.
bridge 21st
Neighborhood
century.
ambassador is better.
You like that?
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
so maybe we'll do a contest on a name for neighborhood people. Now, we know we're not gonna find someone in every neighborhood, but what I'm looking forward to is going into the neighborhood and finding that someone who's playing that role right now. So we want to get them engaged.
Okay.
We want to connect them to their committee person.
Mhm.
There's a committee person, 2 committee persons for every precinct in the city, so there's 72 elected committee people, and then there's a bunch appointed and stuff,
Okay.
so there's as many as 150 committee people right now in the city of Chester.
Okay.
I don't know what they do. Do you know what they do? Do you know your committee person? I mean, it's just, I don't know what their role is, but we want to engage them. So it just becomes a hierarchy. Somebody has an issue, my trash not getting picked up, the drains backed up, you know, something that a city service should be able to handle. I go to my what did I say they were, Penny? Neighborhood ambassador.
Neighborhood ambassador.
I go to my neighborhood ambassador. Neighborhood ambassador checks it out, maybe writes up a report, then makes the phone call to maybe the committee person. The committee person then takes that and brings it maybe to the city council or whatever department in city government that should be responding. There, because I said write it down, we want to document when this complaint was lodged. We may even want to give it a ticket number, you know, those kind of things that we do. So that we can document from the time we heard the complaint to the time the acting department should be acting on it, to the time we got back to the original person, that whole loop, you know, is done.
The turnaround time.
Now, chances are we can't fix everything,
Right.
but people just want to be heard out here. And people want to hear from, you know, city government. So another like no-brainer is the TV access, the access channel.
Mhm.
The access channel on, I don't know what channel it is on Comcast, but it's never been used to its fullest capacity ever.
The public
You know,
access.
I'm really tired of seeing this PowerPoint presentation with the
Right.
porn music in the background.
Yes.
I mean, it's getting really old.
So I
All
can't-
right. We got guys like JP, we got Vision, Amanda and that crew.
Amanda Hines,
What a-
Joe.
Vision video.
Vision,
Yeah.
I never say that right. Yeah, and so many other people just qualified to just go in here and create content to put on that channel. So that's another way to communicate 24/7 on a loop, or live, or recorded. I'm not looking at a PowerPoint. And usually they're old, and the porn music just has to go. That's the part that really gets me. Get a local band on there. Or
So you
something.
want to be accessible, pretty much.
Oh, well, yeah, email addresses on the website, telephone numbers. You want somebody answering the phone. I better not hear one more time that we can't answer the phone and we can't answer our emails because we don't have no administrative assistants. I know. Just go to the computer, go to your tablet, go to your phone, turn the notification on. When it says ding, there's an email. When it says ding, that could be a text message. When it rings, answer it. That's what we do in our everyday lives. So you should be more than expected to do it. You don't need an I know our people aren't so overwhelmed that they need an administrative assistant. In the name, it says assist.
Right.
They're assisting when you are overwhelmed.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
I know, I get it.
I told you what I came in feeling like, so don't ask the wrong question.
I know that's right. All right, we love that you've been very transparent about it. I was looking at one of your articles and you mentioned that there's going to be some structural changes that's going to be mandated by the state-sanctioned receivership. My question to you is, how do you plan to operate within those changes?
I'm so absolutely excited about the receiver being here. But I'm not happy he's here.
Gotcha.
Let's get that straight. We want him to get in here, find out what he needs to find out, fix what he can fix, and get the hell out of here, and let able, capable government take it from there. If that's what's going to happen in the next 2 years, and maybe he's extended for more, that would be the perfect scenario. What we can't do right now is to slow him down. He's got a small staff. Every time he turns over a stone, it creates a bunch more work, and I can see he's starting to get frustrated.
Okay.
So, the more we can work with him and help him and guide him, because he doesn't want to do this alone. He wants to work in a partnership with the city, and sometimes, from the things I see, the partnership it really hasn't gelled yet.
Okay.
They still got a little time, but right now it's maybe a little power struggle. This stranger, and you know how we are in Chester. You from out of town.
Right.
You trying to come in here and do some work? Nah,
Not
we
happening.
don't really feel you like that.
Exactly.
But this circumstance is a little different. There's a guy named Tom Wolf who sent him. Called the governor, and you got to kind of respect, the governor.
Respect
So
the
I
chain of
hope things
command.
smooth out, real soon. That we get some new direction. But yeah, it's going to be different. And if you're not like comfortable and welcoming to change, it could be a real culture shock.
Yes, it can.
So, getting back to the theme of my campaign, it's time for a change. You almost need to put a new group of people in here
To infuse
with this new platform that's very new to them, that don't feel the shock of change and can just roll with what you got and build from there. So that's the whole concept here. That's what we want to do.
I still have more, but I know the people.
I got one question. Let me interject with my one question. We've been working together with this about a year. All I get from the constituents while we was in A's Lounge Friday. Who's Stefan? Like, because unfortunately, a lot of people don't go to the blog. Your blogs are amazing. Everybody here who read the blogs know. But unfortunately, a lot of our folks don't look at the blog. So they say, look, I know you. I see you and Corey hanging out with you. I see y'all moving with me. Who's Stefan? So I need you to tell our folks who you are, why you doing what you're doing, and what you're really about, and why they should vote for you.
That's a lot. But, you should vote for me because it's time for a change. It's really that simple. I'm the most qualified guy out here running.
Hands down.
Yeah, that's pretty simple. If you want somebody to be running for their third term and somebody else to be running for their fourth term, where else in American politics does that kind of work out? Only in Chester? Only in Congress? Only in the Senate? We got to start thinking about You know, who we want in government, and at what point do we kind of say, your run is over? Who am I? Chester guy, grew up in Chester, grew up as like a kid athlete, had a great career in youth sports here, but I stopped growing, darn it. You know, at 11 years old, I stopped growing. So then it was like, okay, we're kind of smart too. Going to private schools, went to Archmere Academy, just got fed up with the private school life. Begged my parents, can I go to Chester High to graduate with my friends? I said, it's just 2 years. I'm not going to disappoint you. I'm going to still go to college. But please, Mom, please, Dad. That was tough. But they let me do it. Had a great time at Chester High because these are the guys I grew up with, you know, the guys and the gals. So I didn't know a lot of people in my class because I was the new guy coming into school. But the people I knew, you know, from other walks of life. And, you know, it's much easier to get to know one person coming in than me getting to know, you know, 1,500 people, you know, in the school. So I can't say I have a strong relationship like most people do who come through Chester, who start from kindergarten all the way to high school, which are same classmates.
Right.
So I don't know a lot of the families intimately, but I know who I know, and the people who know me know me.
Gotcha.
All right. So, you know, I go to college, get a degree. Now it's time to go to work. Well, there's not many engineering jobs in Chester, so you didn't see me working in Chester. But I was close. I was in Philadelphia. Did that for a couple years, went to Wilmington for a couple years, went back to Philly for 8 years. So I was always through here. My parents was here. And then flew out to Denver for a couple years, went to New York for a couple years, and then came back here around 2002. One thing I did notice when I came back, I ain't recognize nobody. I didn't recognize nobody. It took my good friend, we're going around, oh, that's so-and-so, that's what's in, you know, people change their names and their looks pretty regularly in this town. But the one thing that, you know, where the real connection or disconnect between me and the community comes in is the fact that, you know, I'm not shy to say I'm 60 years old. There's not a lot of my contemporaries still in Chester. 60-year-olds have left Chester 10, 15 years ago. They may not be far, but they're not here in Chester. So having been away for a number of years, you know, there wasn't a lot of connection between me and the community. Not growing up in the elementary schools with a large bunch of people, you know, there's a disconnect there. But I got family here. I mean, everybody in Chester, no more than 1 degree of separation from the other. So if I don't know you, I know somebody who knows you. So if you think you don't know me, just talk to the person to the left or the person to the right, and one of them will say, oh yeah, that guy. And if you didn't know me, you knew my dad. If you didn't know that, you know, so I don't have a lot of siblings. In fact, all my siblings are from out of town, so I don't have even that family connection that so many people do. Like, I got a younger brother that plays with your younger brother, or my sister plays with your aunt. You know, it's just me, my mom, and my dad. You know, and that's the way it has been. So I'm just here now letting you know that, you know, if you just turn on your computer, you can see I've been writing about Chester since 2006. So I ain't been a stranger to Chester. Right. I've touched on every issue that has come out of City Hall, the school district, all, you know, sports. I won't say I do crime because that's not my shtick, but, you know, I've been intimately in touch with this community. Right. I am on boards in this city. So unlike many people who work on the street level, I'm working at a kind of a different level. I got a full-time job, so I don't have all day to be ripping and running. Right. But, you know, Chester Education Foundation, on that board, what do? We provide after-school programs for the most part for kids that go to Chester High and through the Chester School District, okay? I make a lot of decisions on that board. Delaware County Historical Society, right across the street. Not very Chester-esque because it's the Delaware County Historical Society, but we bring programs to Chester. And so we're bringing tourists to Chester, and people who do research for Delaware County come to Chester. What else am I? Boys and Girls Club, the drug-free communities. You know, been involved in that just 2 summers ago, took a group of Boys and Girls Club kids to Dallas, Texas. What an experience that was, you know, going down there to the big convention for drug-free communities. It was such an adventure. Our midnight flight coming back home got canceled, and we had to stay for 2 more nights. So, let me tell you, that was a treat. Oh, what else am I doing around here? I mean, I've just done a lot, but you know, I'm kind of hearing where this question is leading an awful lot. Like, you know, what have you done? Right. What have you done around here? Right. I'm almost ready to write a blog post that says, what's the minimum requirement that you have to do can you name these things that you have to do in order
Checklist.
to be, give me that checklist that should qualify you to be a candidate for city government. And once you make that checklist, throw it back to those guys already in city government and tell me where they were at the time that they started. So that's kind of where I am.
I have a question.
I'm glad you do.
Most candidates that run for any office in any city, any town, in USA, anywhere, everyone runs off a platform of change. And a lot of times people wind up not being successful, with their change. And I don't know whether it's the whole factor of, failing to plan. So what I would like to know is, for every plan that you have you started conversations or starting to put structure in place so that if and when you get elected, you'll hit the ground running?
That's sort of like that 100-day plan
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
question they always ask the
Yeah, 'cause
president.
you gotta-
What are you going to do in your first
Yeah, you
100
gotta
days? I'm
plan
going
to
to order
succeed,
furniture. I'm going to try Air Force One. But everything that's on, like if you go to rootsforchester.com, that's where the platform exists. Honestly, I couldn't rattle off all the things that's on there, but everything is on there is sort of curated in such a way that I know I can get these things done, even without the support of the existing city government. I bring to the table a lot of resources, a lot of people that deal in the space of education, recreation, finance, economic development. So, everything in the city doesn't have to move through a resolution that has, everybody agrees on in city council. But there's a lot of stuff going on in these streets that we see that could use a little bit of help, whether it be money, resources. That's usually what it's all about, money, resources, or sometimes a vision and a plan, to get things done. So, I'm not going to go individually through each and every one, but let me tell you, if you go to the website, you see the thing, those are the things that I know I can get done, and I'm excited about getting started on. Getting back to your original question, Roots for Chester.
Yes.
If I don't win, a lot of those things are still going to get done.
Still won't be there.
So it's not I need to be in government to get this done, but to have the authority of being a sitting city council person does make it kind of easier to get through doors. People usually will return your call in a timely manner, those kind of things, I kind of look forward to. But, this isn't it's about getting things done. It's about results.
And that's all that matters.
Yeah,
It's
about
good
results.
that you have so much human capital, because that's what's the most important thing. And when and if you do get elected, do you have any thoughts on how to bring people together in communities to fall maybe under that ambassador, to maybe putting systems in place where people that'll make it easier and be able to streamline garbage pickup and things of that nature? Because there's a lot of times, even now, sometimes my garbage is supposed to be picked up on Monday, might not get picked up till Tuesday, and you might not necessarily know what's going on. And the biggest thing is, because of that lack of knowledge, because that word never really kind of gets out like that, you know what I mean? I'm just wondering on how to bring the community together in a better space where we can work with our city government and all, and it doesn't all fall on the shoulders of the city government.
Yeah, I kind of brought this up a little bit earlier, but
that's
there's some people out here ready to work. They just need to be able to know, okay, you can go to work now. Really. It's so frustrating to hear, back to the receiver conversation, that the city doesn't even have an organizational chart. The people that we have in the city. So how can you be organized at all, getting anything done, if you don't have a chart of what the people do and their responsibilities and interconnected and dotted line relationships, straight line relationships? If the in-house thing ain't right, you don't even probably want to even penetrate that. So for those who do, get through the system, it's usually because they already have a relationship with the system. They're chummy. They're part of the clique. But for an outside trying to get in, man, sometimes it's really tough, even if it's a basic urgent need for you. But I'm also going to turn it back on the community. You know, if I was elected, as you said, like, how would you want it to look? Because I'm here to serve you. You know, so if I can find people who have already progressed in their mind how they want it to look, I'm absolutely wide open, you know, to listening to that type of input, because we know the input that's coming out of that building over there is kind of stale, it's kind of old, it's kind of status quo. It needs some new blood, some new life, and there's a lot of life out here on these streets that aren't being listened to.
Yes.
You know, so the more I'm out in these streets, the more I'm hearing from these people, the more I see the passion, the more I see the love they have for the city, the more frustration. Some of the same issues just come over and over and over and over and over again. So Kenny's been with us from the beginning, Corey's been with us from the beginning. They know that very line that you see on some of my posters in literature, Time for a Change, wasn't something we made up. That's what we kept hearing. Like going to get people to sign their name on the petition to get me on the ballot. Oh, it's time for a change. I mean, it's time for a change. We just got together one day and said, that's it. That's got to be the line. Is every campaign about change? I don't know. We've had probably 4 or 5 recently that haven't changed a damn thing. So,
Well, more so they speak on the change that's going to come. They do the same cook.
Well, you know,
it's
right.
been a long time coming.
I don't know, man. I think they've even quieted down on that rhetoric. Because if you look at their literature now, they say, hey, we just want to keep going. Well, we started. You know, we ain't finished yet. So nothing's changing. I mean, you need another 4 years to do what you did the last 4 years? If that's what you want, vote for them.
Well, you coined the term a new approach. My question to you is, when you say new approach, what makes your new approach so unique?
It might not be unique. In fact, I know it's not unique. I'm not that smart. You know, I really am not. I'm not out here trying to create anything new. I just want what's here to work. You know, and it might be a matter of just going back to the old. You know, because what's happening right now just it's not effective, man. People don't see nothing changing. They see things rolling back, you know, just going backwards, it's frustrating. So, it will be new to people who haven't seen this approach before. So, you know, let's not dismiss that there's going to be a new way of doing business. Right now, I gotta honestly say it all starts with the receiver. He's reshaping, you know, what our city government looks like, what we need to be paying attention to get through 2023, 2024, and 2025, because his recovery plan, his updated recovery plan that he just puts out says, hey, I got you. I came in, I put my finger in the dam when you were 6 months away from losing money. My first year was all about making sure you can keep the lights on, keep the police paid, keep the city's vital services running. Unfortunately, we had to lay off a couple people to make that thing work, but I got you together. I got you a real balanced budget this time. Not one of them budgets that's balanced on paper at the preliminary stage, and then at the end of the year, nobody tells you what the real numbers are. You didn't balance anywhere close to balance. I'll stop there. But it all starts with what city government's going to be. So whoever is going to run in city government, they can't operate the way they're doing now because you got a different government, you know? So what better time is there to put new people in a new system, because I just can't see the old people working in this new system. It's like eventually they're going to tweak it back to the way it was. And what's really unfortunate is when you look at his 5-year projection on the budget, he got us a balanced budget this year. He's going to make us a little money next year if everything goes as planned, and it's all.
Days are coming for you.
But then 23, 24, and 25, we're back in the red. We're back in the red. And if he says if we fall in the red, if we fall below 0, bankruptcy is the only thing left. There is no second receivership. Okay? So things got to be done different, and I think it's going to take different people to do this thing differently. Otherwise, we're just going to revert to the way things are going, which has got us in the situation that we're in, and I don't know. That's troubling to think that we could even be there. It's even troubling to think that people don't even realize that's where we are. But I guess that's why I'm here today, to help explain it.
Well, can you tell us like what bankruptcy would do to like the city? What does that look like?
It might not look like nothing to some people who get up in the morning, feed themselves, and go to work somewhere and come home. You know, but if you're hanging around the city, you're going to feel it first, and you'll feel it in ways that are like, dang, my street light ain't come on in that, or wow, my trash ain't getting picked up for week after week after week. My street didn't get plowed. The police ain't even answering the phone. That building just fell down. Well, it won't be cleaned up for a while unless you bring your own truck and clean it up. That abandoned car, you know, I keep calling. They say, we got you. You know, nothing. I mean, when you're bankrupt, you're really just
All services kind of halt.
any service that needs to halt to pay a bill will be halted. And then there's that process where it goes through court and they figure out who pays what and everything, and then things start to pick up again. I think we learned a lot in the last 4 years with Donald Trump. We learned that his business model is bankruptcy. So it doesn't have to be a dagger in the heart, it kills you. You know, the city's not going to melt and roll into the river. But again, it precipitates instant change, but not without pain. Okay, the people in the city will feel the pain. And when you feel that kind of pain, that your lights are gone, that pothole never gets fixed. For some people, like I said, they won't feel it because we experience it every damn day. You know, a lot of what bankruptcy does to towns is where Chester is now. That's just how broke we are. We don't have money for programming. We don't have money to fix these streets. We don't have money to fix the Lloyd Street Bridge. How long's that been out? I mean, this is real. This is real. We're as close to bankruptcy as we could get, but it could get a little worse.
So it's imminent, pretty much.
Well, as the receiver says, we are in bankruptcy. They just call it receivership now. You know, you got me to try to pull you out of this thing, but if I can't do it, I mean, it's going to be up to the courts to figure out what your city looks like, and that's probably not the way you want to get it done. You probably want to get it through, get through this period with a receiver, kind of smoothing things out, because the bankruptcy just takes it to courts with people who have no
Connection to the community or care.
they're not getting paid to fix the problem. They just do what they do. Cities, you know, Detroit I think was the last city to go into bankruptcy. So all you have to do is look up Detroit bankruptcy and start crying. Because it's sad. It's really sad. I think Chester, though, unlike a Detroit, I think Chester could recover quickly from a bankruptcy. Because for years I've been saying, how low can this place go before somebody just bulldozes it over and takes it over? So bankruptcy could easily be that time when if you don't have roots in Chester, you can get plowed right up out of here with what's coming next.
I like what you did there.
Good, you think?
I
Yeah.
like what you did.
Nice slogan. Awesome. Because you do have a prominent role in the city as a journalist, and you have been the voice on that end. How do you see that changing as you segue into being a government elected official?
That's real. I've kind of asked myself that question. Am I still going to be the Chester City blogger?
Right.
Probably not. Probably not. I probably know too much to be out here writing stuff.
Right.
But I'm not going to stop writing. I mean, it's just become a habit, a passion.
Right.
And I mean, if you follow the journey on the blog, it started out as the Sea City blogger because I thought Sea City was kind of a cool name. It wasn't a cool name because people can't spell it. Is that C-S-E-E? S-E-A? No, the letter C. That's what I said. You know, so you start off. So I said, okay, I got to be something else. So I became the Chester City blog, and that worked out pretty well. And I was only putting out the content that related to Chester.
Right.
So it was events or the kind of stuff that I see around town. But it became pretty clear pretty fast that, you know, as much as you say I'm the dude in town, you know, Chester people don't really subscribe to Stefan Roots and his blog as much as people from the outside who want to see what's going on in Chester do. You know, they're the loyal readers. I got a few in Chester, but, you know, if my goal was to be the journalist that Chester, you know, endears to and reads all the time, I mean, I failed miserably in that pursuit. But people still read my stuff. They give me money to write the stuff. I've met a ton of people. I wouldn't have been running, you know, had I not, you know, followed that journalistic path.
Okay.
And it's really nothing more than a hobby. It's, you know, I just do it because it's fun. But no, I mean, I think about it and I'm gonna miss it, but I don't think if I'm in office, I could be the Chester City blog, or as we call it now, the Chester Matters blog, because after a while I just stopped doing Chester. I said, I want to write whatever I want to write, because people just like what I write, regardless of whether it's Chester related or not.
Just have
So
good content.
I'll just do more of the non-Chester type stuff. Maybe I'll write another book. Maybe I'll interview Kenny or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you said you wrote a book.
I did write a book. Oh, my first and only book, The Melvin Wade Story. Toxic Man, The Melvin Wade Story. Yeah, that's a story everybody here in Chester should read, because he tells the truth about Chester. There's hardly a day that goes by that something happens in Chester that I can't relate back to that book. Melvin is profound in that way, and it's not a book about the fire. It's not a book about the people who died down at the factory in 1978. It's about going through Melvin's head as he kind of starts his life as a teen and takes us all the way through to now. Nobody got inside Melvin's head like I did, because everybody thought he was crazy. You know, everybody thought he was just the villain of villains, you know, the fall guy for all those deaths. And I felt the same way too when I met him the first time. I was like, this dude seems a little whack, a little crazy. But I knew he had something on his mind and he wanted to talk about it. And after I sat with him the first time for an hour, I was so fascinated. I said, Mr. Wade, can I get with you tomorrow for another hour? Yeah. How about tomorrow? And it just kept going and going and going. So what started out as a project to just be an article in the paper to catch people up on what Melvin Wade had been doing 30 years after the fire turned into a memoir of how the crazy mixed up brain of Melvin Wade works. But he's a businessman extraordinaire. In fact, the title originally was The Black Industrialist, because that's the story he wanted to tell about himself. But I said, Melvin, that's not going to sell. Nobody want to read about no damn black industrialist. We have to focus on the bad side so people can get sucked in, and then they read like, wow, he was really deep. I mean, he was involved in a lot of stuff in this city, but he was, his only goal was to be the richest black man in the county, which he had accomplished. And he wanted to show black people that, you know, you can do big things. We need him today. He would be a hip hop legend if he was coming through now. No doubt about it.
I got another question. I know you said you don't want to talk about your agenda per se because it's already on your site. But being as I'm an educator, one thing that always stand out is always going to be about that piece when it comes to the kids. So one of your key points of your agenda states that you're going to improve student achievement. Can you just kind of briefly peruse through how you would go about improving?
Well, I get so sick of hearing when city government is asked, well, what are you going to do about the school?
Right.
They say, well, we don't have jurisdiction over the schools. The schools take care of the schools, we take care of the city. Listen, these are our children out in these streets.
Yes.
They need to be educated. Whether the city works with the school district or not, there are programs that city government can put into the city that are education related.
Right.
It might not have a darn thing to do with school, but it has everything to do with education. How many of these single mothers out here who's working 2 and 3 jobs, got kids on, you know, running all around, could use a place for their kid to go to learn after school? Or even during the day. You know, those are the things city government can put together. You know, so I would love to see, and I know the receiver is really determining what city government will look like personnel-wise, but if I had my wish list, I would have an education ambassador. That's the word we're using today. You know, on staff, on staff in city government to just feed me and feed city government, you know, those ideas for how we can touch as many kids as possible from K to 12,
Okay.
you know, with education. I don't even have the answers now, but I'm an educated guy. I hate to see people not educated, and, you know, but I'm not a career educator. And I know there's new techniques that come up every day, and a guy like you
Changes all
who's
the
young
time. Yes.
and right in on it right now, you know how to touch these kids. Corey knows how to touch these kids.
Right.
You know, those are the people we bring in and say, how do we get these kids smarter? You know, because what we do outside of school probably benefits what happens in school
all
more
the
than
time.
anything else.
All the time.
All right, so you said short.
No, I said all the time.
No, I'm just saying you wanted a short answer, so I was about to go on.
Hey, listen, this is your campaign.
No, but no, seriously, that's really the highlight there. We really, in city government, should be figuring out how we can provide education along with the school district. We need every organization everywhere. You know, that just should be a small part of their mission, is to touch on education. And city government cannot afford to continue to say it's not our job, because these are our people. We got to keep them here. And if it means teaching somebody how to be a better student, how to be a better thinker, you know, how to pick up a hobby and make some money with it, we need to do it.
And this is my last one.
Oh,
Just
man.
kind of follow up
This
to
is
keep
having fun.
Yeah. If you could not actually rank them, but on your agenda, which one of the key points would you consider the most daunting?
Oh, daunting?
Yes.
You mean daunting in terms of difficult to achieve?
Yes.
Okay. Probably the finance piece. That finance piece is going to be a tough nut to crack, because it's going to require something big happening here.
Right.
You know, it can't be a bunch of little things. It can't be a sneaker store. It can't be all these little things that are popping up. They're all great. Larimer Brewery, the woodworking shop. What's the ones I keep seeing plastered by my opponents? Yeah, we need new retail business and people getting, you know, entrepreneur and getting all legal with it and getting their LLCs and INCs and all that stuff. But something big is going to have to come to town, and Chester just isn't the attractive landing place for a couple reasons. One of them is that big ugly monster on the riverfront called Covert. You know, who wants to, I mean, although the riverfront and anywhere else in the world is your prime piece of property,
Yes.
this, you know, we have to remember that this is an industrial town. You know, we have grown up like that. They don't call 291 Industrial Highway for nothing, you know. So, you know, we got to kind of push some of that out, but can we really push $5 million out and expect to replace it with $5 million? I think we can. I really think that, you know, if we took that dirty thing out of here, some clean things, a lot of clean things, you know, could come in and replace it. But that's really going to be hard, because if I'm talking about a big thing coming to Chester, if I'm talking about it now, it ain't going to be here for 5 years. You know, so some of these conversations should have been had, you know, a while ago. And we can see, like, 2008, the city pretty much stopped. I mean, that's when Harris came, and shortly thereafter, the stadium, it felt like we had momentum,
Yes.
but we also had a regime change, you know, politically. And the momentum that the organization or the administration had in bringing this and then bringing that. You know, I wasn't involved in city government then, but I just have a strong feeling the next thing was about to pop, and then the next thing, because they had a pipeline of economic development that they were working on.
Okay.
This administration that's in place now, they had to start from zero, you know, to put that thing in place. And we're now, how many years in? 8, 21, 15, 16 years in, 14 years in, 12 years, whatever. Whatever they put in place just isn't popping. You know, a lot of little things are popping up, but it's not moving the needle. So finances, the financial piece is going to be tough. And we're just, like I said, I'm thrilled that we have a receiver here who can just bring a lot of resources and expertise to figure out where exactly we are, if for no other reason, just to figure out where we are. And then take a little bit of time to say, well, this might be how you want to set yourself up, but I got to go now, you know, and that's the way it's going to go. We don't want him here. We want him to get his work done and get out as fast as possible, because it's kind of embarrassing being the only the second municipality in the state of Pennsylvania that's ever been in receivership. I mean, that's nothing to be proud of. You don't buy T-shirts on that, you know? So, but yeah, communication we can fix, recreation we can fix, education we can fix, or at least start working on. But if we don't get that finance piece right,
Dollars make sense, right?
it's going to be a far different place than we want it to be.
It seems like it's a lot of different components to that as well, getting a financial piece right, you know, a lot of different components.
There's a lot. We got old housing stock. I mean, wouldn't it be ideal? We were riding down 6th Street, I think, yeah, with Corey. We were riding down 6th Street, like right where the railroad track is, so I'm talking Concord, kind of that whole stretch from Lloyd all the way to downtown. And you just look at that, it's like, you know, and then in that moment, I would say, I would just love to wipe this whole strip out, half mile. You know, not kick anybody out their house, like move them, but there ain't that many people there. You know, there might be 12 occupied homes in that 6-block stretch. And it's like, imagine a corridor of something, whether it's new technology business, vertical gardens, you know, something. Just something that, you know, New York taught me when I lived up there that in neighborhoods, economy thrives when you cluster like industry together or retail. So I mean, something as simple as, here's 2 blocks of flower shops, you know, and here's 3 blocks of men's fashion, and you know, but whatever it be, you know, it would be nice to just be able to kind of reimagine Chester in sections to do the type of things that make sense. So when people come to town, they don't have to go all over town. They can come right to that block, right to that building, right to that area, and get what they need and get out of here. But again, those things, if we're thinking about it today, we're 3 to 5 years away from even starting, you know, to see that happen. So that's why I start off with what I started off with. It's a 10 to 15 year gig to get this place back together again. And we absolutely need these young people involved in the process, because they're going to be the ones left to run it. But they can be running it now. They just have to believe they can and have some people bring them along. So that's what I'm doing. You know, that's my job. I mean, Stefan Roots, rootsforchester.com. Stefan at rootsforchester.com if you want to email me. I need to see you. I need to talk to you. If you need to talk to me, you can go right to that rootsforchester.com. We got some great buttons right on the top. You can donate money. We actually are receiving money for this campaign because signs ain't free. The most important button, though, is the vote button, and it takes you to the Delaware County voter election bureau site where you can register to vote. So you have till May 3rd to register if you're not registered. If you're registered as a Republican right now and want to vote for me in the primary, you have time to register as a Democrat. You vote for me, you press A49, that's the only button you're going to push. And then if you're a Republican, you go back home and you register yourself back to Republican if that's what you really want to be. I'm not telling anybody what to do except vote for me on May 18th. I'm right on the ballot, the second name in the ballot. Don't vote for anybody else in that cluster of city council people. Just vote for me. That's what I need you to do.
Awesome.
Who else got a question? Somebody?
Corey, you got a question?
Corey back there getting the shape up. What you got?
I think you hit it all, man.
All right. Okay. Yeah, we can
Let's take a jump into the
freestyle
future.
here.
Let's just take a jump into the future. 4 years
I
from
love
now,
future.
let's say you do get the seat, okay?
Mhm.
What's the legacy that you want to leave behind during your team as council?
I think automatically just being a councilman leaves a legacy. You know, you just get on the books in history as being a city council person. But that ain't the kind of legacy we want to leave, because that's what we got right now. People are just in office. Oh, I'm the this, I'm the that. So the legacy that you're talking about and the legacy that I want to leave has to do with like a body of work. What's the body of work you're going to drop? What are you going to leave behind? I think it's already starting to happen. People are starting to pay attention to government. You know, if it wasn't for this campaign, you wouldn't know there's an election coming up on May 18th. Because around here, it's gone so uncontested for so long that you start to see signs 2 weeks before the election. They might come knock on the door, but what does it matter? You know, it's usually these elections are a competition, a contest. It's that one against that one. Well, when you don't have a choice, why even vote? You know, it almost strips the power of the vote right out of your hand. And that's why sometimes I kind of feel like, we kind of got a de facto voter suppression thing going on in this town, where we're not encouraging people to register, where we're not encouraging people to come out and vote, but we're not giving anybody a choice. So just the fact that I've gotten to this race to show people that, hey, we're campaigning. And the beauty of me campaigning? The other side's campaigning. I'm not mad when I see them. I get excited because I know they're presenting to other people the fact that, hey, there's an election coming up. So my job is to try to get with everybody so to let them know they have a choice. The legacy I'd love to leave, though, is to get Chester back involved. Get the citizens of Chester back involved in their local government. It's easy to pay attention to Trump, Biden, Obama. That's easy. That shows up every day. But it's strangely hard right in your own front door. So we want people involved. And let me tell you what else we need to do. We need to get people to vote. Now, I'm not saying vote for me in that sentence. I'm saying not enough people in Chester vote. Okay? Because I'm learning through this process that the number of people who vote determine what resources come to your city. Okay? So when the people who have resources, who have the ability to help your town, sees that, oh, that's a city of 34,000. Okay, between the Republicans and Democrats, about 23,000 registered people. If I'm going to win my election as Congresswoman, if I'm going to win my election as Senator, man, a good 10,000 votes out of Chester sure would look good. But when Chester's only showing up with 900 people on an election, why the hell am I coming down there? You can't do nothing for me. And if you can't do nothing for me, believe me, I'm not doing nothing for you. So we need people just to come out. I don't care if you put the blinders on and hit a button and walk out. You voted, you've counted. And we can use that in city government to say, yo, we've got a block of people here who can make a difference in your life. So we need that resource. We need that street plowed. We need that land cleared. Government begins to work collectively, with each other from here all the way down the turnpike to Harrisburg. But when you don't vote, your community doesn't matter. So, we know how many votes it's going to take for us to win. Ideally, Corey, Kenny, guys who are working really close to me, I hope we double that number, man. I just want to see people come out and pull the lever. Even if I lose, if I double the vote count that normally comes in a primary, we won as a city.
You'll see well at night. Gotcha.
So those are the type of legacies I want to leave. I want to get government engaged. I'm an old man. I don't have the ability to be a career politician like the guys that are in there now. I can't do 3 and 4 terms. I'm not doing 3 or 4 terms. That's I didn't start in my 20s and 30s. Let's say my 30s. So what I'm going to do is going to be hit it and pass it. That's what we're going to do. I want somebody to pass it too.
You want to set the template?
Like somebody said today, I said, sometimes we just need to, we need somebody to turn that torch over to, pass the torch to. He says, nah, man, sometimes the torch just needs to burn out if you can't give it to the right person. So we don't want to see any torches burn out, man. We want to have a light to shine for people to just keep going in the city and make it happen. That's the legacy I want. I can do that in 2, 4, 6 years. I think that's the max, and I'll say that right on camera. If I do 6, that's going to be it. That's going to be it. But it's going to be a good 6. And behind us are going to be people who can do 10, 15, in a serious way. And they can always call me if they need some advice, they need some resources. It's like I'm not going away, but I wasn't built for this type of work. But if not me, who? Right now. If it doesn't get done now, we're only gonna continue that cycle of status quo, same old thing.
Right.
It could turn around and work. That's what they're telling everybody. Oh, just give us a couple more. The crazy part is they ain't even saying they're gonna change anything. They're like, just give us a couple more. We got unfinished business. Well, if it's anything close to the business you didn't finish the last 4 years, I don't know if we need you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for those great questions.
I appreciate
And thank you for you guys
Right.
viewing.
Well, thank you very much for coming out. I do have one small thought. When we talk about inspiring like more people to come out and vote, I mean, we do know that there's like a lot of disparity in our community. A lot of people do feel like their votes don't matter or what have you. Is there any words of encouragement that you can give to anybody that may want to, try to pull more people out and vote? Is there anything that you think that an individual can do to help encourage their neighbors or whatnot to get out and vote?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm gonna frame it like this. It's almost unfortunate that getting somebody to vote means that they've got to vote for somebody. Okay? Because we don't always have a good choice. Okay, I think in this election we do have a good choice. But take me out of the equation. The most important thing we need in this city right now is for people to vote. And that's the question you're asking. How can we get more people to come out here and vote? I just wish we can just communicate the thing I just said, man. The more votes that come out of this city, the more resources that come into this city. What happens too often in this city, there's nobody to vote for, so people aren't even encouraged to get into the process. It's happened so long that people don't even, voting is just not, something they look forward to. April, November, or, whenever, it's just not on their radar unless it's a big national thing. But if we can just get into the mindset that the simple exercise of casting your vote, even if it's clicking one, maybe they have questions on the ballot. You don't care about the candidates, but if you just go in there and push one button, one lever, you show up as a voting person. You add to the collective in the city. We've got to stop showing up with 1,000 people on election day, in primary elections. We've got 23,000 registered voters. We look ridiculous to everybody around here. It's time for that to stop. I don't know if you have to shame people or educate people or put good people on the ballot for them to work on. It's probably going to take a combination of all that. This time you got a good person to vote for, so that's your reason for coming out and voting. But it's bigger than the person right now for this city. One of the quickest things that we can do to look legitimate outside of our city is to up our number of people that come out and vote.
Well, the biggest thing that I always hear happen is we get into these cliches, vote or die, your vote counts, your vote matters. But I think one of the main important things that people have to do so that every citizen can really understand the process is sharing the education aspect of that, because a lot of people don't know what happens when they vote. Like, you don't know the negative aspects, like just you breaking down saying, well, okay, it's only 900 people, so I don't see that as value. See, that's something a voter wouldn't typically know. And so I think that maybe if things like that sometimes were like kind of highlighted in a way, we can literally see how important, our votes is.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. All the slogans, rock the vote, all those type of things. They don't say a thing about a candidate.
No.
They just say, come vote.
Come vote.
Come vote. But you're right. The second part of that is, well, why? The only thing that most people think of the why is to vote for a candidate. And, too often we don't have candidates, we don't know enough about them. Or maybe you should just go in and answer the question on the ballot. You know what I mean? I mean, we got a judge of elections on this ballot that's coming up in this primary race. Now, that's just one of the 4 or 5 Chester candidates that's going to be on the ballot. One of them is judge of elections. He's running unopposed. You might like that guy. I know there's a lot of people who do. But because he's running unopposed, people who like him will probably say, well, he's going to win anyway, even if he votes for himself. Nah, come on out and push the button for that dude. You know? Show him 1,000 votes, even running unopposed. That's the kind of stuff that matters when it comes to voting.
Well, thank you very much
He
for
said,
this
well,
time.
that means it's over.
It's
Whenever somebody says, well, it's over.
It's definitely over, man. I want to thank our panelists for asking you the questions that they asked you. You know, May 18th, man. Come out and vote, man. If you feel like your voice hasn't been heard, if you feel like you're not allowed to say anything, don't be scared. Don't allow fear to dictate what you do on May 18th. Come out and vote. Let's go, man. It's CMPRadio.net, man. We're live here at Supreme Hairstyles, man. I want to thank Mr. Bill Reed for allowing us to use his space.
Thank you, Bill.
And if you want to hit us up, man, if you want us to come to your barbershop, you want us to come to your beauty salon, man, and have the same conversation with your own panelists, hit us up, man. We're always willing to work with you. The CMPRadio.net, man. We out of here.
Good job.
CMPRadio.net. It's the station.
What needs to be addressed in this city? This cleanup, I get this young man to come out here and clean up this area. I pay for that, to get this area cleaned up, because people just throw trash everywhere. This is where I live, and I want it to be clean, and I want it to be healthy. I have a granddaughter. I don't want her running around in filth, so I have to pay to clean it up. So I hope that somebody comes and do something differently. I will support anybody that comes in this area to do what they need to do to get the city where it needs to be. Chester has some awesome people here. We deserve to have good service from the people we pay taxes to. This is what we deserve.
100%.
I appreciate it. What more can I say?
Hey, I appreciate him. Things have to change.
Cultivating mature positivity.
CMPRadio.net.